Dun 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 dun. It's Shark Week 2024. We got to get some shark projects done. Alright, let's get started on this pin cushion. I have my pattern here. Actually, I don't have the entire pattern. I just wrote the directions on my template for the fin. So I printed this out and then just put all those details on there that I need to put it together. Super, super simple. You almost don't even have to write it down. But you do have to know that you need 2 3 by 5.5 inch blueprints and 1 5.5 inch square. And this comes from a project called Fantastic Pincushion. The designer is Allison Gam, and it's from American Patchwork and Quilting, September 2017. So I will have that linked in the description box so that at least you can get your templates printed off, read the directions, write down notes that you need to write down, and you can make this later, or you can make it with me right now. Alright, so I have a pin cushion made out of this already, and I love it, but it's not a shark. I would really like to do this one here, but maybe I'll save this. This one would be kind of cute too, but a green shark, I don't know, but I like the dots on both of these for the shark, and there's even some variation in tones here in the blue and the green. But I have this plaid that could make a fun shark. And then also with that, for my fins, I had pulled out some grunge. I thought that would look pretty cool for the fins. This one I probably would only use with the green. I could use this one with this one. That would be pretty cool. Or this one right here. But I also had another piece of flannel. These are flannels, by the way, but you can use any type of fabric you want to use for your pin cushion. But I wanted to use these flannels. This is a piece of flannel that looks like tweed. I think that would make a really cool fin, and that would work on all of these. So being said I already have a pin cushion out of this, as much as I want to make another one, and I might, I'm going to make it out of this one. So you've probably already seen that from the beginning of the video, but I just wanted to let you see my thought process in all of that. So the first thing we need to do is cut out 2 3 by 5.5 inch pieces, and I have I think I'll turn this way. I'm not really too concerned about the plaid. It's just a pin cushion, and we're only making a square. So I need 2 pieces that are 3 by 5.5. I probably could cut that like this and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Wouldn't that be smart? Although I don't like to think about killing birds. I love the birds. Okay, 5.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 by 3, which is the width of this ruler. There are those. And then we need 1 5.5 inch piece. I'm going to straighten this up a little bit. Alright, there's our 5.5 inch piece. I need to iron that. And then our fins. Our fins are on this paper. This is hard to see through, so I am going to find a way to get this on here. I'm going to get my little light box out and see if that will work. I think I can see that. Now she has two here, one going one way, one going the other, but I'm thinking if I just fold this like this, I'll have what I need. I didn't make very good use of my fabric, did I? Could have put it more in the corner. That's okay. So see, I can see my marker all the way through. So all I have to do, because we will be putting right sides together to make that fin. So let me go ahead and cut this out. You could stick a little pin in there if you think it's going to slide on you. Okay, there's our little fin. Right sides together. Once we sew that together, we'll turn it and our two right sides will be on the outside. So let me move the camera to the sewing machine so that we can finish this project up. It's just that quick. The first thing we're going to do is keep our fins right sides together and just do the curved edges, 1/4 of an inch or less probably. I think I'll go maybe just a scant 1/4 inch on that, and leave your flat bottom open. Okay, so I have my right sides together on my fin, and I just want to sew 1/4 of an inch around the curved sides. You have 2 curved sides and 1 flat side or straight side. So go very slowly because you've got these curves to go around. And then when you get to the tip where you need to turn, you can either keep sewing off and restart again, or just turn it and keep going. Sometimes you may have to lift your presser foot to pivot just a tiny amount. And since I'm using this flannel, it's a little bit persnickety with the stitches here. So, and I'm going to back stitch a little bit on the end. And there we go. Just a tiny bit of sewing there. I don't have dark thread in for you to see, but you can kind of see I went up one side and down the other. Now, this part is pretty important because we're working with a little teeny tiny piece here. So first thing you want to do is cut your tip off without touching any of your stitches. So you're just going to cut that right across. And then to turn it and get a nice edge, we're going to clip about every, I'm going to say 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch, and get within a 32nd of an inch to your stitches, but do not cut into your stitches. I'll show you what this looks like when I get around. Actually, I think I might even curve that clipped point there. Okay, and then go around the other side and clip, just using the very tip of your scissors. And if you've got some little Karen K. Buckley scissors, those would probably work the best for this because they're nice and sharp and small and can get right in there. So there you go. See, I've got all that clipped. Anytime you have a curved edge, whether it curves in or curves out, do that little clipping action there close to your seam, and then your object, your piece here, will turn more easily and lay more flat. I tell you what, I think I'm going to go ahead and trim these seams a little bit more. I'm going to take off about a 1/8 or a 1/16 or so of this, just to kind of make it not so bulky inside there. Alright, so now we're going to turn it very carefully. We don't want to rip those seams open. We just want to lightly turn it out and kind of pull at that corner with your fingers, and then take a turning tool, some sort of dull object. This is what this is a turning tool, and just very gently poke out that corner. And I still have a little bit of bulk in there. I probably could have gotten out, but I'm going to leave it. Don't be tempted to push this tool all the way through your stitches, or you will have to resew it. Now look at there. That is a shark fin. I think it could stand to be a little sharper. Yeah, I think I would take a little bit more out of that corner there on the seam allowance, but I'm going to leave it like this. I think that's going to get the job done. So there's your little fin already. Just leave this open. Don't worry about it. It's going to be sewn into your seam. And that's what we're going to do next. Here's what you have. Oh, and also on this tool, if you have one of these, they're shaped this way for a reason, so that you can actually get around corners like this and push them out. Gently push them out. That way you'll get the desired effect of that curve that's there. This one here, I'm going to have to push out with my finger a little bit. There we go. I think I might give this a press. Okay, so now we have our two pieces here, and we want to stick our fin right there, and then right sides together. Now I would say pin this in here, but you can, but I'm just going to pin through all of these. I'm going to use one of my little forked pins. These are magic pins with the purple top. Love magic pins. I'm going to stick that in there, and that should hold it in place very well. So I'm just going to go down through here and do a 1/4 of an inch seam. And remember, these were 3 inches, so we're going to lose our 1/2 inch, and then we have our 5.5 inch square. So this should mate up with this really easily. I backstitched on each end. Take your pin out, and ta-da! There's your fin. Is that not the cutest? I'm going to press open the seam just to kind of make it lay nice. And then your fin that's in there, you can just lay it to one side. Alrighty, nice and flat. So the next thing we need to do is put it together, right sides together with our piece, and look, it fits perfectly. So what you're going to want to do is keep open a little area, and I would say use one of these seams, not here, not on this, not on either of these ends, one of these sides. Leave about, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 inches, just so that you can get a finger or two in there to be able to turn it. And back stitch when you start and end. And again, that's 1/4 of an inch. Estimate 1/4 of an inch before you get to that corner so that you'll be able to just pivot and turn. Too much. Let me do one more stitch. Perfect. Keeping your seam allowance that you sewed on those 2 pieces open. Continue on to the next corner, stop 1/4 inch short of the corner and pivot. And always need one more stitch. There we go. Perfect. Again, stopping 1/4 of an inch short and pivoting. And here's our last corner. Get about 1/4 of an inch to the edge. Lift your presser foot and continue on. I'll make my hole opening small because I don't like to hand sew those, and that's what we're going to have to do. Okay. You may be able to guess what we're going to do next. No, it's not turning. We're going to cut these corners, and I'm going to do that for you right here. All 4 corners. Don't cut your stitches or you'll have a hole in your pincushion. Alright. Now we can turn it. Carefully. I can see that shark fin coming out first. Yeah. Just be very gentle. Alright, now you can take your finger, your dull fingertip, press those out, all the corners, all 4 of them, and then take your tool, your turning tool, and just kind of tease out those corners. All 4 corners. Don't forget one or you'll have a dog-eared pincushion. You can also take your turning tool and kind of go along your seams here to get those all turned out as well. See how this one kind of dips in? You can kind of see that. Just take your little tool and poke it out. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is go to the ironing board and press in 1/4 of an inch each side of that opening. And I might press the whole thing just to make sure I've got it nice and square before I fill it. Is that not so easy and so cute? You can make a ton of these. Give them to all your Quilt Guild friends. your retreaters that you're retreating with, and all your sewing quilting friends that you have. There we go. Let me go press this, and then we'll fill it up. Ta-da! Look at him. Now, you know how we laid that in there and pressed the seam allowances to one side? If you press against that, your little fin will stand straight up. So that is so cute. I love it. Let's fill it. I like to use these crushed walnut shells. You can buy these on Amazon, and I will put a link in the description box so that you can get one from my link. And it'll last you a long time. I don't know, I think it was probably like 5 or 7 pounds. And I went ahead and put it in this big Ziploc bag. Make sure no bugs or anything got in there. And so far so good. I've had no trouble with it. Now if I get a hole in my bag, I'm going to be in trouble, aren't I? But it comes in a container that's not resealable. So I decided to do that. So I've got my little measuring cup in here. Measuring spoon, measuring scoop. 1/4 of an inch. And I can just take that, hopefully, if it's not too big, and scoop some of that in there. Some people choose to use polyfill. No problem with that. Some people choose to use polyfill and walnut shells. But since I have walnut shells, that's what I'm going to use. I need to make good use of them. I could have stood a smaller scoop for this job. But we'll get it done, and it's not making too big of a mess. I just put my project right down in the bag with the walnut shells. Okay, I'm getting fuller, but not quite where I want to be yet. A couple more scoops. So you kind of have to hold it shut and kind of test out if you've got enough or not. I think I want a few more. I like mine firm and heavy. That's going to do it. I can tell. You'll get the feel for what you want. You can always put a clip on there, some pins, something to hold it closed without it all spilling out everywhere, and see how it feels. And I think that's what I'll do. Let me go get some pins. Oh yeah, I think that's going to be perfect. Just kind of a beanbag feel. You know how that beanbag feel? I think that's going to be good. And these walnut shells are good too because supposedly they sharpen your pens and your needles. So try them out. Link in the description. I'm the queen of losing footage. I just showed you how to close this. Most of you that have sewn any amount of time know how to close a hole up. So I had taken this to the ironing board, ironed in the little opening that we left, the 2 raw sides in, and pinned those. And then also I took some regular needle and thread, and I was telling you about how there are rules about when you use a double strand and when you don't, but I don't care, and I used a double strand to close my haul. So how I did that is I knotted my thread. I took it the opposite direction into my machine stitches, and that left the tail of my thread here inside. And then I took off the other direction across the opening, and I did teeny tiny stitches. And you're welcome to make another run of stitches going backward just to reinforce it really well if you feel you need to. If you tend to do a bigger whip stitch, I would definitely do that. But I just intentionally made a tiny whip stitch. And then when I got to the end, I took my needle and thread and took it to the opposite again into my sewing machine stitches down into the inside, and then turned my thread off really close up here to the top. So it's not that hard to do. Anyway, you know, to sew a hole closed will work. Just make sure, just remember that you've got these really fine walnut shells in here if you're using walnut shells, and they will come out if you don't make sure your opening is very, very closed. So here it is. I love it. It's so cute. I want to make more. If I wasn't actually showing you how to make one, I could probably make one of these in 15 minutes, I would say. If that. If I had my pieces cut, I could probably make it in 5 minutes. So get these for your friends in your guild, people you go to retreats with, if you want to give a little gift to each of them, your sewing, quilting girlfriends, guy friends, whatever. Make everybody one because they're cute. And you don't have to wait to Shark Week to make them either. They're cute all year round. Okay, on to the next Shark Week project. Here are our supplies and pattern template for our next project, which is from the Patchwork Posse. And the tagline is any stitch, anytime, anywhere. Patchworkposse.com. I will put that link in the description box so that you can go find this template, because you're going to need this. This can be either be a pillow or a wall hanging or a block in a quilt. Either way, this is my style of crafty project. I'm so excited to get started on this. So you need to pick a piece of fabric, however big you want it to be, but you can see that the shark is going to be on here about like that. So this is a fat quarter, and this will represent my water. So it's a shark in the water. And you can also embellish this some more with some stripping, you know, add some accents to it. We'll get to that later. My imagination is just running wild right now. But basically what you need is this. So go to that link and print this out. And then you need a variety of, after you've gotten your background picked out, you need a variety of grays, dark grays, light grays. This one's a little bit on the black side, but I think I need that contrast. It's actually a marbled sort of thing, so I think that'll go in there well. So we're just going to do some scrappy piecing with this. No real rhyme or reason to it. You could certainly do it in stripes, strips of fabric. You could do it in squares. You just need to get a big enough piece of scraps sewn together to be able to cut this out. And I did even find, which I thought I got all of this out of my stash, some fairy frost. I'm going to throw it in there. Give it a little sparkle. This is for his gums, where his teeth go. So you need some sort of red or gum colored fabric. It's just going to be a little bit sticking out right here. And then your white rickrack will go under that, and it will look like teeth. Is that not cool? If you don't have the rickrack, you could certainly do a little jagged piece of fabric. This is going to be raw edge applique, and you don't need any special skills to do raw edge applique. I'll show you how to do it. Alright, so what I need to do now is take my, oh, and I have 2 buttons for the eyes. So I want to make sure that dark piece isn't up here, because I'm going to have an eye here and here. And I also wanted to tell you that on this website, using this template, there are other projects. This can be a pencil case with a zipper on it. And there are some other things you can use this template with for Shark Week. Okay, but this is what we're going to do. I've got these 2 over here for the fins, and as you can see, There's instructions for the fins. For the pencil case, you need to cut more than what we're going to need for our shark on this. So I need to get to putting these together. So I'm going to take these over to the sewing machine and kind of randomly cut and put together enough fabric for my shark. So it gets to a point where you have to get some straight edges. So I'm taking some of my scrappy pieces and putting some straight edges on them. And I'm just going to continue on adding more and more to this until I get enough to get a size big enough to cut this out. And I'm getting close. So I am going to continue on here. I might have to trim that one up and add this one. And then that can go onto this, and I may have enough. Okay, I'm going to continue on. Okay, I think I'm going to make this work. So I'm going to press this really good and get this onto here. I want to use my light box. Hopefully I can see to draw this through there. Probably will be able to. I'm going to press this down really good because there's a bunch of seams back here and they're going every which way. So I'm going to try to get them as flat as I can. And then we'll cut our piece out of our patchwork, out of our crazy patchwork. So there's no rhyme or reason to this. All you do is just start cutting and sewing and put together until you get another big square. So hopefully mine turns out looking pretty decent. I did do some intentional patchwork here, but the way that this is going to be on here, you're not going to be able to detect that symmetry that I've got going on there. It's fine. So let me do the pressing and then I'll meet you back over at the cutting board. Okay, even though you can't really see what I'm seeing, my template is under here and my fabric right side up is over it, and I can see where my lines are and that this is a big enough piece. So I'm going to leave that right there. I like where it's at. And then I'm going to go over to my heat and bond. And this is the sticky side of the heat and bond. And I don't need this anymore. So I want that sticky side on the wrong side of my fabric. So what I need to do is, I always get this mixed up, so you have to really think it out. If you want the right side, if you want the sticky side on the back side of your fabric, you need your paper side up. So what I'm going to do is First of all, I'm going to cut this just like this. The size of this paper is what I think I'm going to do. And this will either be a disaster or it will be a success. Cross your fingers for me. Because what I want to do is be able to iron this on without making the exact shape of the shark. So I want to get a piece of heat bond that is the size of that paper. Is that smart? I don't know if it is or not. But anyway, there we go. So now we can make our heat and bond the size of this and put that on there and trace it to get our sticky backing we need before we actually cut out the shape. So more or less, this is the shape that I need. Put this away. Alright, now that needs to go here. I think I've got this right. So what I need to do is trace my fish on here. And then bond my fabric in this material. And then cut it out. Alright, so now we can put this on here and cut our fish out. Okay, so here is, got him all cut out. This is the paper side, the adhesive is underneath. So I'm going to stick him on my water and take this paper off and stick it down with the iron. And then I'm also going to have my fins to do. So let me get the fins cut out and those with some heat and bond on them. And then we'll see what kind of sewing we need to do here. I actually had enough of the patchwork to do my fins with. So I went ahead and ironed down from about here over just to keep my fins in place and the body of my shark in place, but I have a little bit that's not adhered. So what I need to do is I need to make a little bit of a ridge, not a ridge, a little bit of a curve out of this red to just have that barely sticking out. And I think I will use a pencil for that because I don't want my marker bleeding on my other fabric. So I'm just going to freehand, I don't know, maybe about a 3/8 and then taper it back in on each side because you don't want the red out here. So I'm going to do it about like that. I already put the bonding material on here, so I think that'll go under there nicely. And then this is representative of the teeth, so I need to go ahead and get this to where it's gonna go to make sure I have this where it needs to go so I can sew it down, because this will be actually sewn right on the edge of that front of the shark, his mouth. And that's a lot easier said than done for some reason. So just the little tip, so it should show. So I think I have this where I need it. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out where I marked and sew that down underneath of the head of the shark. I'll put this where it needs to go, like this. And I'll keep this up and not bond that down yet, but put this where it needs to go. So let me go ahead and do that, and then we will arrange where our rickrack goes for the teeth. Now, if you don't have any rickrack, you could certainly do a jagged white piece of fabric and just do single layer raw edge and put that in there. You could just kind of mimic on some white fabric this design and then just stick it on there. Of course, you would put your design on your heat and bond first, so this would stick down like this red's going to stick down. But I'm not going to put the head or the mouth of my shark down with the heat and bond light until I have my rickrack arranged under there the way I want it. So I have my red adhered down, and I have measured from side to side by laying my rickrack down underneath there. I've trimmed it off. You want to get the valley here on this side fully under the front of the shark, and then just kind of work that over. And I'll probably have a little bit to cut off, maybe. I'm going to take this over to the iron. This still has not been ironed down, and do this very carefully with my iron and my fingers, hopefully without burning myself. I'll be right back. Got it. There's his teeth. Okay, now we have our buttons yet to put on, and we need to stitch around the edges here. You can use a blanket stitch, you can use just a straight stitch, whatever you want to use. When you get to the mouth, you're going to want to stitch out here on the edge on the red, and then also right on the edge of the front of your shark. So I'm just going to go around the edge with mine. I'm not going to do anything fancy. And then I will probably sew the buttons on, and then after that we'll decide what other sort of borders or other embellishments we might want to put on this. So I'm just getting started here. I got my needle down, and I did just a couple of back stitches just in case. And I am running about an 1/8 to a 1/16 to the inside of the shark shape. And I'm starting up on one side of the mouth so I can go ahead and get that rickrack in place, because it doesn't really have a whole lot holding it right now until I do this. So I'm going to go ahead and start there, and then I can just continue on around the shape of the shark until we're all the way around. I have my stitch length at 2.5. I think that looks nice. And then you may have to lift your presser foot and pivot a little bit now and again with all of these curved edges. I'm going to leave the fins to last because I do want to go around the entire body of the shark first, and then I'll go back and do the fins separately. Okay, there's my stitching. Now, I need to put a little line of stitching around that red, just that area, and then also do my fins. Okay, got our fins done. Let's see what else we can do with this. Here I have my button eyes on. I don't have them on. I've just got them there for you to see what it looks like. Because if you decide to quilt this square, either into a quilt, into a, you know, with batting and a backing for a pillow cover, or whatever you decide to use it for, a wall hanging, you may want to quilt it. Don't put your eyes on until your quilting is done. It'll make your life a lot easier and less dangerous. I'm going to leave you here with this project as it is because I have pulled some fabrics. I cannot decide what to use, or maybe I'll just use all of it. I don't know. But I have this Sarah Watts Ruby Star Society Florida. I have this one little piece which is in the shark itself, and then I have two fabrics that are also in that line that have little sandpipers on there, little beach birds. And I've been talking about blue and orange together lately. And then I found these scraps. I found these in my scraps that I've processed. This fabric is from a long time ago, probably 15 years ago, but I still have 3 squares of this tropical, and then also this basic here that has that beachy tropical look to it too. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with all of this or with some of it, but I'm gonna do something. So hang on for one of the next episodes of Finish It Friday, and you will see what I finally did with it. But I hope you enjoyed these Shark Week little projects. And also don't forget our little pin cushion. I already got some little pins in there. I love this. So you can make this in minutes. This takes a little bit longer, but it's not that intense of a project. It's just one block. Of course, you can make as many blocks as you want, but yeah, this is some fun stuff. I particularly enjoyed this. I always like doing this kind of stuff, but if you're a little bit scared of doing just scraps thrown together anyway, you can definitely use some patches. Do some little 2-inch patches and make a square of fabric out of that, and then cut out your shark on there, and it'd be a little bit more of an organized scrappy shark. So many possibilities. I hope you enjoyed these projects for Shark Week 2024, and we'll see what we can come up for 2025 during Shark Week. This is the first time I've ever done Shark Week projects. It's been a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, and be sure and come back and watch my Monday and Friday videos as well. Check to see if you're subscribed, and all of the information you need for these projects is in the description box with links. Alright, have a great one. I'll see you soon. Bye.